you enter the IP address of the camera, you have to give it one. Let's say it's an Axis camera. And you give it an IP address in that same range, all right? Then once you've done that, you gotta choose what kind of camera is it, all right? Or you just choose OnVIF as a default. Once you've done that, there's your management report, transfer protocol, admin, what's the password? Hit add. That camera will then be here.
Okay.
And it should activate. Now, just understand that if
But
they're not
you have to make sure you give them that IP right, like
in this range,
192.168.
in this range,
and
yes.
a number that's not in there.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And just know that if you choose OnVIF, let's say it's a PTZ camera, you may lose features. You may not have all the features because it's OnVIF. It's not specific to Acti or Axis. Now, if it was an Axis camera, all right, cool. You probably have everything. But if it's an OnVIF, you may not have everything.
And so you have all the information, just add up
Right.
all the information that you know.
If you need to upgrade a camera, if you have 4 cameras that are all the same, you can choose the cameras and you can choose upgrade here. We'll reboot all the cameras. Okay, say yes. Then here you plug in your thumb drive, you look for that file and you hit upgrade. Now, once you're doing the upgrade, if for whatever reason, let's say you've got 4 of the same cameras and you choose to upgrade them all, it comes back and says, well, we're not able to upgrade number 2. All right, try doing 2 by itself and it may go. Sometimes it's that simple. But if it doesn't upgrade number 2, by doing it by itself, that firmware on that camera might be too far back that it can't jump up to the new one.
Mhm.
You may have to jump up to one in the middle and then go up.
So
Not
a little
sure.
bit- okay.
You may have to step it up. So again, just depends. Here you can always refresh if you're trying to connect cameras. You can do one-touch activate. Again, this is on our cameras. Enable H.265 for initial access if you want to compress the actual video. PoE information. So here's one of the things people don't seem to understand is on PoE, here's what my draw is right now. Okay? So at night, this might increase because your IRs are on. So it's not always the same. So what happens is I had an end user call and said, we had a power outage, but I had my DVR plugged into a UPS power supply, right? But the power supply was not enough to power up the DVR and all the cameras. So they were like, where's my video? I had a UPS. Yeah, but the UPS was not powerful enough to power up the DVR and power up all these cameras. So you had no video. Not my fault. You had a power outage. So then they'd have to do the calculation here and say, look, I got to do at least 5 watts. Here, you see this one is 9 watts. So just pretend if I had to do 9 watts across 8 channels, plus the DVR, that's how big a UPS I need. So if they ever ask you, you got to know all this information and calculate it, okay? On-screen display, if the cameras, if they want to know the date, the time, the model number, or the camera name, if you don't have it on this screen, you won't have it on the recording. So people say, well, I don't want the date and time, but I want it on the recording. Doesn't work that way.
Okay.
One or the other. Image, if you need to set up the brightness. PTZ cameras, if you have PTZ cameras, know that if you don't know already, when you do PTZ cameras, let's say you have one and you have it set up to tour, all right, set up a certain tour. You have to set up that tour at the camera. And once you've set it at the camera and saved it, then you can enable it here and say, I want patrol number 1 or number 2 and hit set, all right? But if you haven't created it at the camera, it's not going to take place here.
Okay. But this is only PTZ camera.
Yeah, PTZ cameras. If you're going to do is an area that you're going to mask, if you're going to mask out a certain area you don't want seen on the image, you can do it here.
Right.
So if you notice this is the image, you want to enable privacy mask. That's zone one. So now, anything in here will not record.
Oh.
So if you had a bathroom door
Uh-huh.
in this image, I don't wanna record who's going in the bathroom. You can block that out. You can mask it off. Under video tampering, if you wanna enable video tampering, so if anybody is moving the camera, is tampering with it, it'll do an audible, based on the sensitivity, based on enabling it. Same with video loss. If you wanna be notified, you can say, I want an alarm telling me I lost video. Alright? VCA is video content analysis. It's the same thing as video analytics. So, video content analysis, basic fundamentals of video content analysis is line crossing and intrusion zone. Alright? So by default, all of our channels on the cameras have one line crossing. See number one? Has
Yeah.
one that you can create regardless. So that line, you can put it wherever in the screen. If it crosses it, that's an event. Alright? You can trigger, that's an event.
So that's what the motion will kick in.
Yeah.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? You can say, I want event. I want line crossing, you create it, it'll only record on
After they cross.
the event, that's the event, they crossed it, alright? Or you could do intrusion detection, there's my intrusion zone, right? That little square. Anybody comes in that area, triggers a recording,
Oh.
alright? So, here's another thing to know of. By default, every camera has one line crossing and one intrusion area, alright? So if you notice, camera number 2. Camera number 3 has more than one. But by default, again, most of them only have one. Line crossing, you create it, I want it from here to here. Alright? Could be a doorway. You create it and enable that line crossing. If it's an intrusion area, there's my intrusion. Anybody moves in there, starts recording. But under the recording parameters, you can set up both. You can say on continuous recording between 8 and 5 in the morning, it's going to continuously record at 10 frames a second. Okay. But under event, let's say anybody crosses those, I want it bumped up to 20. It can do both. So then when you go playback, it's going to have your continuous in a blue bar. It's going to have your events in the yellow.
And how do you control the frames?
I'm going to get there here in a minute.
Okay.
So anyhow, but our video analytics and video content analysis is at the camera. So these cameras have smart features. If you notice, camera number 1 has face detection, line crossing, intrusion detection, region of interest, region of exit, loitering, people gathering, fast moving, park detection, unattended, object removal, defocus, sudden scene change. These are all features that you turn on at the camera. So you have to, if you buy a camera that has all this, you turn it on and now you can do it here. So for example, now look, there's another line, okay? I don't have a line 3, but if I do intrusion, there's intrusion 1, there's intrusion 2, 3, there's nothing there, 4, there's nothing there because I haven't enabled it. But you can have that many different ones on the smarter cameras. More expensive cameras, but they have the smarter features.
Yeah.
All right. So here's where you would set up those video content analysis, those intrusions, those areas, draw a quadrant, clear it, enable it, whatever you want, okay?
And does every camera have the intrusion, like you said?
Every camera has,
At least 2, right?
the NVR has it. Every channel has one intrusion and one line. That's it.
Okay. And how do you enable those on the camera? Cause I know you said
You don't have to.
You don't have to.
No.
Okay.
It's smart ones. When you want to do more than one, or you want some of these other features, some of these other ones listed up
Okay.
top,
Okay.
you have to enable those.
Okay.
But by default,
They already
every
have-
camera, every channel on the NVR has one line and one intrusion zone
Okay.
by default. And again, you would go there and say, hey, you know what? I want to enable, line crossing or intrusion.